Yeah, I think a big part of it is because video games became such a huge cultural phenomenon and like became such a huge moneymaker. Like they're pouring more money into video or as much or more than into video games development now as they do, Hollywood blockbuster movies.
Oh yeah, well, also the
And
return is like way better because
yes,
because like because like a Hollywood flop is it's a Hollywood flop is a big flop if like a
hmm
blockbuster is bad, but like it's like a get like a flop in the gaming industry is probably most likely to still be a profit.
yes. Um,
Where like a
and
flop is not, or where like a Hollywood flop, you're not profiting at all.
no, and I think I don't want to sound like a hipster, a video game hipster, but the '90s were better in terms of quality of video games. Now, I'm not saying that every video game that came out between 1990 and 2001 was amazing, because there were a lot of shitty games in that time.
Superman 64.
Yeah, but I think development studios put more emphasis on creating the video game as an art thing rather than as a big money blockbuster thing. So they took more time. The teams were bigger. They were more dedicated. It was more of a labor of love. So when you got a good game in the '90s, it was a really good game. You know, as opposed. Not saying that there's bad games now, but like you could tell that most AAA games follow a certain formula in order to make the most profit. Like there's just that's just the way it is. Um,
Right, and I mean the game is not very much changed from like year to year. It's
no,
usually just like an updated roster, but like everything
right,
else is the same, or like they update the graphics a little bit. But
right,
it's from like one year to the next. It's unless it's like a new console, it's hardly noticeable. Like you'd have to
yeah,
play like one game from 3 years ago and one game from and like the game this year to really notice a vast difference.
yeah. Well, it's like you look at a series like Call of Duty, where the
It's
Call of
the
Duty
same
one
game.
and
They just change the maps.
exactly. And the problem was is that when Call of Duty first came out, Call of Duty 1, Call of Duty 2 were amazing games. They were like such high quality amazing games.
Yeah,
Like
and they
they
relied
were
way
fun to
more on the
play.
storylines too.
Exactly.
I liked the third one a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the storylines were amazing.
And Medal
You
of
know,
Honor was a good one too.
yes. And then the point where it changed is where they decided, Activision announced that they were going to release a Call of Duty every year. And it's like, well, why?
Yeah,
Because
there's
then
no
from that
reason for
point
that.
on, it literally became just it's a clone of the previous year's game with slightly better graphics and like a few new guns,
Yeah.
but essentially the same game.
Until they added the zombie mode, which was still just like a gimmick.
But again, the zombie mode became the same game over and over. They
Mm-hmm.
just added more maps and more guns. That's all they
Right.
did. And it's like, so you're paying full price $60 for what would be an expansion pack 10 years before. You're
Mm-hmm.
paying full price. It's a full new game, and you have to buy it every year. It gets to the point where it's like, well, why would I do that? I don't want to do that. I don't want to. And that's pretty much like where I stopped playing a lot of AAA games. Like I play. Um, every once in a while I'll play one, but now I mostly stick to either older games or like smaller companies.
Right. Like enough's enough.
Yeah, because it got ridiculous. It's like I don't want to play the same game that I played last year with just two new guns and like slightly better graphics. Like,
Yeah.
why would I do that? That's not fun.
No, I mean I don't care enough for that. Like,
Right.
and honestly, I only buy so many video games per year. Not that I ever
hmm
like just well, I went crazy when I was buying like old games,
Yeah.
but like that's kind of different. Like the
Yeah.
older games, as far as like newer games are concerned, maybe I buy two per year, and they've usually been out for a while by the time that I'm buying them. So
Yeah.
they're not even that new by the time I've bought them. Like I'll usually wait like a good 6 months after the games come out,
Oh yeah. You have to.
just because either the price will go down, it's patched
Yeah.
up, both, or
Both. It's really
it's usually just both.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't have a reason to, like, how much, like, I'm not gonna spend too much time playing video games, and on top of that, like, there's nothing wrong with the games that I have, so I don't need to just buy a new game. It
it
just doesn't
really.
make any sense to me. Also, like, I like being able to pick and choose what feels like a good idea to buy. Like, what game feels like a good
Yeah.
idea to buy. I'm not gonna aimlessly just buy it because it's new. I'm not gonna do that. If I
Yeah.
see, like, if I see a new Mario game, I'm not just gonna say, "Oh, it's a Mario game. I have to buy it." Like,
Right.
I'll just wait a while because it's not gonna go anywhere, and, like, maybe
Yeah.
I'll just buy it like 5 years down the road. Like, I
That's
don't have to play it right this very minute.
that's pretty much what I've been doing. Like, if I see a game I like, I'll put it on like my Steam wish list, and then I'll just wait until it's on sale. I don't even remember the last time I bought a game for full price because it's too, like, I don't. And I've really strayed away from playing multiplayer games. Like, I don't really play multiplayer games anymore. I'd rather just play single player games because I when I play a game, I want to have fun, and a lot of times, like, multiplayer games are just like they get so stressful because you're facing people that are playing, 6 hours a day, 5 hours a day. I get to play maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours a day if I'm lucky. At night.
Yeah.
And that's like my only time to play is like, after William goes to bed, pretty much, and so it's like I don't want to like have to like spend my time playing against people that are gonna like destroy me because they play 5 hours a day.
Right, because, like, what's
So
the point?
I've
You play video games to unwind, not to get pissed off
exactly
again.
right.
Especially if you just
So
had a bad day,
yes,
you're not gonna get, like, it's just gonna feel like a torture, like, it's because then it becomes like a voluntary torture chamber because you're like, all right, well,
yes,
I woke up, great, everything sucks, I'm pissed off now. I'm gonna go home and play video games, and everything's gonna be better. You play the video game, god damn it, I'm pissed off again. This never ends,
yes,
and then you do it again the next day, and it's the definition of insanity. So, like,
yeah,
why would I play a multiplayer game anymore? I'm the same way. I play linear games.
hmm
Like, I'd rather just play the story mode, beat it, and then be done with it, or just like an open world game where it's like
yeah.
where like a Tony Hawk, which I'm glad that they finally announced a Switch date. I don't know. I'm debating on maybe that might be the one game that I buy new this year.
Tony Hawk.
Yeah, because they're like porting the 1 and 2
Yeah,
thing to the Switch finally in another
yeah,
month. So I probably by the time this comes out, it might be a couple of weeks, or they might have done it already. But
yeah.
they but I mean, I feel like they probably have taken enough of their time to do it the right way. But I don't know. So, like, maybe I'll
I'm
wait,
sure it'll
maybe
be
I
fine.
won't. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah, because most of the Switch games or games that get ported to Switch are fairly good. I actually just picked up the other day on May the 4th. I picked up Star Wars Jedi Academy was
Ooh,
on sale because it was May the 4th on
yeah.
Switch. So I got it for like I don't know, like $5 or something.
I wish I knew
And
about
it's a
that.
classic uh, Star Wars game. So I've been
Yeah, I
playing
wasn't
that.
crazy about the Crash Bandicoot port though. Like, honestly, I hated that port because,
Really?
well, it's the because like whoever the team of the developers that were porting it, or the porters, I guess, if you will,
Uh-huh.
um, they they messed up on the landing stuff.
Really?
Like they did something with the shape of his feet, where, like, in the original on the original thing, his feet were like squares, like the
Mm-hmm.
pixels that were his feet, or like the polygons that were
Oh,
his
okay.
feet, they were squares.
The
So, like,
hitboxes are changed.
that's what it meant. Yeah, that's what it is. The
Yeah.
hitboxes were changed, so, like, originally they were squares, so, like, you didn't totally have to be on something to, like, make
Yeah.
it. So it was like, I mean, still a challenging game, but it wasn't like, but, like, you could get away with something every once in a while. But
Yeah.
for some stupid reason, for this they decided to make them like these like thin ovals,
Yes.
and now so like you have to be like spot
Super
on
precise.
every
Yeah.
single time, otherwise you just slip off.
Yeah,
And
that's not just the
it's
Switch
just
port.
yeah, I no, it's not the
It's
switchboard, it's all of them.
all of them. Yeah. I think it was because they didn't just port the game; they basically remade the games from the ground up. Because they did the same thing
Oh,
with
okay.
Spyro Reignited. Is it's technically a remake rather than like just a port or a reskin, a retexture. They pretty much remade the games from the ground up, so they had to change the hitboxes because the graphics were better. So it would have like been weird, I guess, if the hitboxes were the same.
Oh,
Um,
okay. That makes
but yeah,
sense. But
that is
I don't
quite
understand.
annoying.
I don't see why they couldn't just still make them squares if they like just smaller squares,
I guess because it wouldn't
like
have
just
fit
thinner.
right with the within the model or something. I don't
I
know. You
guess. I
know,
mean, I would like to think that they tried and it just didn't work,
yeah,
and that's why they
I
had to
think
do
so.
it.
Yeah,
But
I think
I don't
they
know.
just had no choice. But yeah,
Yeah, I
I know
mean,
what you mean in that because that is annoying. I have it for PS4,
yeah,
and it's like so hard. It's like it's frustrating.
I can't beat the first stage because I just get so frustrated. So
Yeah,
I just abandoned it.
yeah. I will say Spyro Reignited, they did a better job in that regard. Like there's not as much like the hitbox thing isn't as bad. Like there are a couple of weird jumps where like in it feels like in the original game it was way easier to do. But for the most part, it's not too bad.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think Spyro kind of wasn't like really as challenging as Crash was, so I think that kind of helps. You know, Spyro was more kind of a laid back
Yeah.
platformer, and Crash is a little bit more intense and like skill based.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
Spyro had like it wasn't really an open world, but it had an open world field. I mean,
yeah,
the only one that I played was Ripto's Rage,
yeah,
but I'd like to think that the other ones were similar. Where like it's not really open world, but it feels
yeah.
like it is.
Well, yeah, you could do the levels in any order you want, and
Yeah,
you have to go around the whole level and collect items and stuff. I would say
it's like a
that Banjo
sandbox.
Kazooie, yeah, Banjo Kazooie was a little bit more open in that regard.
Yeah.
But Spyro was still pretty open. The levels themselves kind of have a more linear path you have to follow, but you do have to like kind of look around for like secrets and stuff like that. So it's not like 100% like walking in a straight line. Like there's a lot. There's like some you have to do some exploring.
Okay.